Oh, hi. I've just been fishing here. You see, last time I made a simple fishing-based desktop pets called Shoreline, and a lot of you seem to like it and have different suggestions in what I can add. So I went ahead and finished it. The whole game. Well, not really finished because there's a lot more to improve on it, but I'm happy with what I have right now and probably won't touch the project anymore unless I really have to. So, if I caught your attention, let's talk about what I've been up to for the last 2 weeks. So hi, how's it going? The name's Silurus, and for the past 2 weeks I've just been smelling like fish. So in my first video, I made a minimum viable product where you can click this pond and start fishing. When you catch a fish, it plops into your desktop, and that was the game. And now, it looks like this. Yeah, a lot has changed. Before, there were only 5 fishes that you can catch. Now there are exactly 30 fishes that you can call your desktop pet. So let's go over all of the features one by one. Now getting it out of the way, let's talk about the fishes. I separated them into 3 rarities: common, rare, and legendary. And you would know this by these 3 icons when you start fishing. So when you see that purple fish pop up, you better focus and catch it. All the fishes from the previous video are in the common rarity. So anchovy, tilapia, flounder, koi, and tuna are all common. So let's start with the 3 new common fishes. And the first new fish for this video was recommended by Cyrus Lee however you say that. I'll call you Cyrus Lee. They actually recommended a lot of fishes, but right now I want to focus on this. Can you guess what it is? It's a clownfish. So now Nemo's in the game and he's the first new fish to be added. The next fish is actually recommended to me by my partner. They're these little fishes called guppies. They're those little things you see in small aquariums and the world's most distributed tropical fish. Apparently. And they don't usually swarm like this, but I think it looks nice. I made 3 versions of them and added them all into one swarm, and here they are. The second swarm of the game after the anchovies. And the last common fish is the bass is mandatory. The bass is mandatory. The bass is mandatory. Oh, okay. So I added the bass, and look at it. It's majestic. I'm actually really happy on how the bass turned out, so I hope you're happy too, Puzzled 8460. And that's all for the common fishes, so moving on to the 15 new rare fishes. Starting from the smallest, making our way to the biggest ones. The first rare fish was recommended by Komi with a lot of Y's, which is the prawn. But I also want to recognize this commenter who recommended the shrimp. Now I had the shrimp on my list of pets to make, but I used the prawn as a reference when making the shrimp. So I ended up calling it a prawn. Now I think they don't really move like this in real life, but I like it like that, so I'll keep it like that. The next one is the first of many fishes that I myself wanted to add. And it's these weird little fishes I see in fish shops when I was a child. They have this weird bump in their heads and they're called flower horn cichlids. And here they are in the game. The next one is something a bit inspired by Stardew Valley, which is the main inspiration for this game, and yep, it's moon jellies. I made them glow a bit, and they even influence other fishes and things when they pass through them. Very simple, very nice. Then I wanted to add a bigger swarm in the game. All of the swarm right now are small fishes. I wanted something a bit bigger, which also swarms. That's where I came across these guys, the blue Mau Mau. They're big, and they swarm, so they're perfect. Moving on to another suggestion by Cyrus Lee, which is the panda fish. It makes sense, they do look like pandas. The next one is something a lot of you probably expected, the puffer fish. It's always puffed up because, yes, I can't bother coding it. Moving on to, what the hell is that? So I was just searching weird fishes to make when I came across this guy, the Stargazer. And we had the idea to just make it staring at the screen, and man, it freaks me out. The way I accidentally drew it asymmetrically too does not help. So whenever I catch it, I just go, ugh, and sell it immediately. Then there's the pet that made me separate all the fishes into different scenes instead of just changing sprites, because it would have a different AI. Recommended by Karkinos, who said, I'd love a crab that instead of floating around the screen, it scuttles across the floor. So here you go, a little orange mud crab for you. Next one on the list, and oh, It's the Humuhumunukunuku Apua'a. Yeah, that's a real fish. This was recommended to me by a friend, but also Cyrus Lee, so I had to add it. And having this long ass name, just it's silly when making variables and file names. The next recommendation is by Sip Nosy, who said the snailfish, and what is that? Well, I added it anyway, so here you go. Have your deep sea snailfish. The next fish is something I came across when trying to make a commenter's request. They said I should add a rainbow fish. I was wondering if there are actually other fishes that look like rainbows, and that's where I came across the parrotfish. Close enough, you know? They look like parrots from the colors to the beak, and apparently they taste good. I've never had one. The next one is recommended by Snecky Snacks, who said they are contractually obligated to request Pygmy Corridores. But I didn't add that, sadly. But I did add the next thing they said, which is the arowana. I chose the colorful variant because we can just have a crayfish here. That'll be sad. Right after the parrotfish too. Then I wanted to add sharks into the game, but you know, sharks are usually imagined as big creatures, so I wanted a smaller shark for the game. That's when I saw the ghost shark, which are actually not sharks. They're called chimeras or something, but they're also called sharks, so close enough. They're a bit see-through, so I added that into the game too. They look like this, and they're very creepy little things, but the cool kind of creepy, you know? Another recommendation is from Untrained Professional, who said sawfish looks badass. I agree, so here you go. Then the final and biggest rare fish is something multiple people recommended, the sturgeon. And let me just say, the Stardew Valley version of these guys don't give them justice. Look at this guy. He looks like a dinosaur. We take caviars from dinosaurs? Anyway, that's all the rare fishes in the game, and now we move on to the rarest, the coolest, and the biggest fishes in the game, all found in the 7 legendary fishes. The first one is something that I have to come clean about. Remember Carquinos, the crab guy? I may or may not have withheld information from you guys, because after they said that, they said, because I'm biased, a horseshoe crab would be nice. And I didn't know what those are, and I searched it, and they're like these fossils refusing to evolve, so here you go. A little horseshoe crab scuttling across your screen too. The next one is something a bit silly. Now I know they don't actually look like this, but it's silly. You may know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the blobfish. Look at them. Look at that guy. Look at that dude. Then there's something I saw in a YouTube video where these divers or marine biologists are freaking out when they saw one of these. And I didn't realize how rare or endangered these things are. It's the nautilus. And I just wanted to show some appreciation to this little guy, so here you go. Then the halfway point of this rarity, coming in number 4, the football fish. I really wanted to add an anglerfish, and this guy was just so odd looking. It was pure black and caught my attention, so I added it into the game. It also has a light which affects other fishes and its environment, kinda like the moon jelly. Now we're moving on to the big boys, the biggest fishes in the game. The first one is the mola mola, or ocean sunfish. Look at how big they are, and look at how big they are in the game. They're cool. Then the next one comes with a little fun fact. Did you know that my name, Silarus, but with an S, is actually Latin for catfish? That means I'm a bit biased on making catfishes in the game. Now I didn't want to just add a normal catfish into the legendary rarity, so let me tell you guys something called the earthquake-causing catfish called the Namazu. From Japanese mythology, it's a catfish that lives underground and causes earthquakes and tsunamis when it thrashes its tail. And big boy, look at him go. Then the final legendary we have is actually derived from a recommendation from Kami with a lot of Y's. Yeah, that guy. They mentioned the prawn before, but they also mentioned the kraken. Now I didn't want to just make a giant octopus because I already did that with a catfish, but I didn't know how to convey it as a kraken without just making exactly that, a giant octopus. So I thought maybe, just maybe, there's a real big ass octopus or a squid out there that's cool and creepy enough to just do that. And oh my god, Mother Nature never disappoints. They're called the big fin squids or Magna Pina squids. They're not that creepy in the game though. And that's it. The long list of fishes are done. We can move on to the features added into the game. First things first are the small changes, like you can now press escape or backspace to cancel fishing. This is useful when you're trying to get rare or legendary fishes. You can press escape and try again. The only downside is when you do it too much, well, you can do something like this. Oh no, I skipped it! That was a legendary fish!
Dang it, man.
I skipped it, I pressed escape! No! Then I made it so that when you click the fishes, well, they zoom. So it adds a bit of interactability, since fishes before just swim around and stuff without really interacting with you. Then I implemented the size variation, so every fish spawned can be a bit smaller than usual or a bit bigger than usual. Just adds a bit of variety to the game. Then I added this animated waterfalls just to make things pretty, and this VFX that plays when you start fishing. I also added this wave shader in the background so you could tell that you're in Shoreline, because I still cannot figure out how to make this game click-throughable, which I guess makes it not desktop pets, but I'm happy with this for now. I also added a custom cursor and a new progress bar for the fishing game. At first, I wanted to change the color of it by code to indicate how well you're doing, but then it turned out bad, and I realized I'm an artist. I can solve this problem with art. So I made this custom progress bar and it looks good. Then going through left to right, we have the fish barrel where you go to sell fishes. You can either click sell, which gives you a target. It's not a gun, I swear. And when you click in the fish you want to sell, it gets sold. And of course, sell all just sells all fishes you have in the screen. I made this coined VFX that shows up in your cursor when you sell fishes too. Then the chest where you click to see how much gold you have. Simple enough. And the most interesting one, the fish journal, where you can see all the fishes you have caught, all the fishes you can still catch, their names, the amount of times you have caught them, and buying them? This is my simple way of saving the fishes that you have. So basically, the fishes in your desktop does not get saved when you exit Shoreline, but your gold and the journal gets saved. So after booting up Shoreline, you can go ahead and pick the fishes you want in your Shoreline today and buy them. Their price is the same amount of their gold as their sell price, so you're technically not losing any fish. And you can even turn one moon jelly into like 40 tilapia. And of course, you can only buy the ones you have already caught. Then I implemented a simple save and load system, like I said, so that you would not lose your gold when you exit the game. I followed Quabble's tutorial for it, which used resources to save and load the game. This was a whole ordeal and what made me quit coding like 2 years ago. UI and save loading games just sound so complicated, but I did it for Shoreline because no fish must be left behind. Then most of the game is done. I went ahead and got sounds for simple actions like opening things and clicking buttons. The game now sounds like this. Then I exported it into a web version and a desktop version that you can now play in itch.io. I wanted a web version since I think Mac users can also play it that way, and also my school uses Mac, so I can also play Shoreline in class too. There's still a lot more to add, but I'm really happy at where it is now, and I can peacefully put the project down. I learned a lot from Shoreline this past 5 weeks of making it, from coding to making art for UI and saving and loading games. Things I thought I could never do. So if you ever have an idea you want to do, go ahead and try it. Game development may be exhausting, but it's not impossible. I hope you like the game, and if you like this video, subscribe.